The ceiling lights at the Green Lantern Lounge cast a soft golden sheen on the sleek marble floors. It's nearly 10 p.m. and most patrons have sunk into plush leather booths. Jazz tunes play low in the background, weaving in and out of conversation like a restless cat. Despite the subdued atmosphere, Trevor Ryman can't steady his pulse. He stands at the lounge entrance, scanning the tables. He feels overdressed in a charcoal blazer he hastily grabbed before driving here from his apartment. His phone vibrates in his pocket, but he ignores it. All that matters is finding the person he came here for. Rosalie Mortimer, his wife though right now. Trevor can't shake the sensation that everything he thought he knew about her is unraveling. A burst of laughter draws his attention to a corner booth, half hidden by frosted glass dividers. Two silhouettes lean close. One is unmistakably Rosalie. Her auburn hair, pinned back in a neat twist, catches the glow of an overhead lamp. She's wearing a fitted navy dress that clings to her figure in a way she never did back when she accompanied Trevor to his teacher conferences. Across from her, a tall man in a tailored suit raises a martini glass. From where Trevor stands, the figure exudes confidence and closeness with Rosalie. Alaric Donovan. Trevor has never met him in person, but the name has haunted him for days. The rumored client, a corporate hotshot from out of state. Over the phone, Trevor's friend Damian Harrington warned him that Rosalie was in Hartford tonight without mentioning it to Trevor. The suggestion that she might be hiding something left Trevor with a hollow ache in his chest. Now he's here, witnessing her and Alaric together, close enough that Trevor's fingertips tingle with anger. Heart pounding, Trevor slips behind a large decorative fern. He knows this is ridiculous. He's not a detective, and sneaking around a lounge is the last thing he imagined doing on a school night. But the alternative, confronting her blindly, seems impossible. He needs proof. Carefully, Trevor raises his phone and zooms in. Through the screen, he sees Rosalie tilt her head, smile. Alaric touches her forearm. The gesture is gentle, intimate. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the air. "Sir, can I help you find a seat?" Trevor jolts. A hostess stands beside him, studying him with polite suspicion. He forces a tight smile. "Oh, sorry. I'm just, looking for someone," he stammers. She nods. "Take your time." Her eyes linger for a moment before she walks off, her heels clicking on the polished floor. Trevor breathes out, counting to 3, hoping the hostess's interruption hasn't caught Rosalie's attention. He peers back toward the booth only to discover Rosalie and Alaric rising to leave. She gathers her clutch. Alaric slips an arm around the small of her back, guiding her toward the lounge exit. Trevor's entire body tenses as they approach. His mind spins. Should he dash outside and hide behind the next column? Should he wait for them to step out into the street so he can follow quietly? A flash of memory invades his thoughts. Rosalie's bright smile on their wedding day, the way her freckles glowed in the summer sunlight. That memory collides painfully with the scene in front of him, her leaning toward another man. He makes a split-second decision. Trevor moves to the side, kneeling slightly to pretend he's adjusting his shoelace. His pulse thunders in his ears, loud as a drumbeat. The lounge door glides open. Rosalie steps out first, Alaric right behind her, and then Rosalie's gaze sweeps across the entrance. She locks eyes with Trevor in an instant. Her face freezes, and her lips part in shock. An unspoken question flickers through her expression. "What are you doing here?" Alaric notices her hesitation. His dark eyebrows arch curiously. "Rosalie," he murmurs, voice low. Trevor stands up slowly, every muscle tight. "Rosalie," he says, a shiver rolling through him. I needed to talk." She glances at Alaric, then back at Trevor. There's a panicked flush creeping across her cheeks. Behind them, the hostess is watching with open curiosity. A few remaining patrons in the lounge have turned their heads, sensing the tension. In that charged moment, words hover in the air like lightning about to strike. Trevor wants to demand answers. Why Hartford? Why Alaric? Why keep secrets? But he can't form a coherent sentence. And Rosalie stands there, caught between guilt and indignation. Finally, Alaric steps forward. His expression is controlled, but his posture hints at annoyance. "We're in the middle of a business meeting," he says, quiet enough not to draw more attention. Trevor bristles. "This doesn't look like a business meeting." Rosalie's eyes flash. "Trevor, keep your voice down," she hisses. In a single snapshot, Trevor registers how strange it is to see her so edgy, so unlike the gentle wife who used to meet him outside his elementary school with lunch. The distance between them feels like a canyon. Before Trevor can speak again, Alaric gently taps Rosalie's shoulder. "Let's go," he murmurs, inclining his head toward the door. For a second, she hesitates. Her eyes flick from Trevor to Alaric. Then she turns, pushing the door open with trembling fingers. Trevor can only watch as they exit into the swirling night air. The lounge's glass door drifts shut behind them. All the breath leaves his lungs in a single exhale. He takes a step forward, ignoring the uncertain stares from the hostess and a couple of bartenders. The desire to run after them wars with the dread coiling in his stomach. What if I'm too late, he wonders. What if I've already lost her? Sunday sunlight filtered through pale curtains, washing the living room in soft gold. 6 months ago, Trevor Ryman woke to the aroma of coffee and the promise of an unhurried morning. He pulled on a comfortable sweatshirt, stepped onto the hardwood floor, and found Rosalie humming along to a country song in the kitchen. She looked vibrant, hair loosely braided over one shoulder, wearing casual sweatpants. They had only been married a little over a year, settling into a cozy routine in a quiet Maryland suburb. Trevor was an elementary school teacher proud to shape young minds and equally eager to start a family of his own. "Morning," Rosalie had greeted him, flashing a bright smile. She gently placed 2 mugs on the counter. "Don't forget, we promised to drive out to Ashwood Park later. My dad wants us to meet a few people from his circle." He remembered the warmth of that scene, the contentment. But even then, a subtle tension clung to Rosalie's words whenever she brought up her father, Ambrose Mortimer, a political heavyweight who'd paved the way for her job in a congressman's office. Sometimes Trevor wondered if she truly loved that environment or if she felt obliged to be part of it. "You sure your dad won't mind me showing up in a shirt?" Trevor teased as he took a sip of coffee. "Don't be silly," she said, rolling her eyes affectionately. "He's the one who keeps saying you're a breath of fresh air." They'd laughed together, easy and close. Yet Trevor sensed that she was pulled between 2 worlds, one of small-town simplicity, shared with him, and another of fast-paced politics. Every now and then she'd check her phone obsessively or slip into conversation about big donors, legislative schedules, or late-night meetings. He'd nod along, not fully grasping the complexity of her job but wanting to support her. That particular Sunday, though, was calm. They decided to linger at the breakfast table. Rosalie's gaze drifted over the folders stacked on the counter documents for the upcoming congressional fundraiser, but she pushed them aside to make room for a fresh vase of lilies Trevor had surprised her with. A flicker of guilt or anxiety crossed her face. Then it vanished as she leaned in to kiss him on the cheek. "After we visit Dad, maybe we can stop by the orchard," she suggested. "I'm craving apple cider." "Sounds perfect," Trevor replied, heartbeat light with contentment. Looking back now, Trevor realizes that day was a last moment of uninterrupted peace, before the tension of late-night conferences, before Alaric Donovan's name crept into their conversations, before secrets and suspicion started to build. He can't pinpoint an exact moment when the distance began, but he knows it grew in the cracks left by her increasingly demanding schedule and his own insecurity. He recalls how, around that time, Rosalie first mentioned a newly approved project. "I might have to fly out next month," she'd said vaguely, tapping her phone's calendar. "Just a quick trip, nothing major." He'd believed her she was always traveling for this or that. But now, with hindsight, he wonders if that wasn't the first sign that bigger storms were looming. As Trevor sits alone in his apartment in the present, hours after seeing her with Alaric, he can almost smell the coffee from that Sunday morning. The memory feels like a sun-warmed photograph, a testament to what they shared. His gut twists. He can't help asking himself, where did that version of us go? Even so, there's a flicker of hope beneath the pain. She was once open with him. She once let him in on every detail of her day, from routine errands to big ambitions. Could they return to that closeness? Or is he merely clinging to a memory that no longer exists? Trevor sets his phone on the coffee table. Damien's last message reads, "Call me if you need to talk." But Trevor doesn't call. Instead, he stands by the window, staring at the quiet Maryland neighborhood. The sky is overcast, threatening rain. Fitting, he thinks bitterly. All he can do now is gather the scattered pieces of what's left of his marriage and brace himself for a confrontation he knows will test both his heart and his pride. It's late afternoon when Trevor finally stops pacing and calls Damian Harrington. The tension in Trevor's shoulders makes him feel like he's lugging a sack of bricks around. He needs to talk to someone who isn't caught in the swirl of political undercurrents that surround Rosalie. "Hey, man," Damian answers. There's the echo of a TV in the background. "You doing okay?" Trevor forces a laugh that sounds hollow even to himself. "I don't know. I went to Hartford last night. I saw Rosalie with him." Damian exhales audibly. "Alaric Donovan?" "Yeah," Trevor confirms, grimacing. It looked bad, okay? They were at some lounge. The way she smiled at him. I felt like an intruder in my own marriage." Silence stretches across the line. Then Damian's voice softens. "Trev, I'm sorry you had to see that. You know, I've only heard whispers from a buddy who works near her office. They said she's been traveling a lot for that new project, but no one's sure what's going on." Trevor closes his eyes. "I need to know if she's—" He can't finish the sentence. Saying cheating out loud makes it real. Instead, he swallows. "Everything's changed. I can't just ignore it." Damian clears his throat. "Look, you mentioned once she's under a ton of pressure. Could it be that this guy is just a big-shot client her boss wants her to impress? Maybe it's not as personal as it looks." A flicker of desperate hope sparks inside Trevor, but he quickly tamps it down. "I wish that explanation made sense," he mutters. "But I saw her face. She wasn't just politely networking." Damian lets out a frustrated sigh. "All right. Do you want me to do some quiet snooping? Not anything shady, just to see if there's more to Alaric's presence in Hartford. I know a reporter friend up there." Trevor hesitates. Part of him feels uneasy about prying further. Yet the memory of Rosalie stepping away with Alaric refuses to fade. "Yeah, if you could find out anything, I guess it can't hurt. I'm not sure I trust what Rosalie would tell me right now." "Understood." Damian's voice is gentler now. "I hate seeing you go through this. But remember, maybe it isn't as terrible as you think. Just brace yourself for any possibility." Trevor rubs his forehead where a dull headache is forming. "Damian, thanks, man." They hang up. Trevor stands in the living room of his modest apartment, the quiet pressing in on him. On the mantel, a framed photo catches his eye. Him and Rosalie laughing at a 4th of July barbecue 2 summers back. Her cheeks were flushed from dancing, and he had a sparkler in hand, grinning like an idiot. So carefree, so sure of each other. He picks up the photo, then sets it down carefully, as if it might shatter in his hands. His phone buzzes again Principal Hayes from his school, reminding him about tomorrow's staff meeting. The normalcy of work almost feels jarring. He wonders how he'll maintain his composure in front of his students when his personal life is on the brink of collapse. Still, he's grateful for the routine. Maybe immersing himself in the classroom can keep him from spiraling. He can't just stop living because his marriage is hanging in the balance. With that thought, he heads to the kitchen, rummages for leftover pasta, and forces himself to eat. The bland taste does nothing to soothe his unsettled nerves. As he chews, the light through the window fades from gray to deep blue. Twilight envelops the neighborhood. Trevor can't recall ever feeling so alone. He used to share this space with Rosalie's laughter, her presence, her endless stories about political fiascos that he pretended to understand. Now, it's just him alone with the knowledge that something broke between them. And until he figures out whether it's fixable, his mind will remain stuck in this painful loop of doubt. The Monday morning bustle at Marigold Elementary School is usually Trevor's solace. Bright-eyed kids tumbling from minivans, parents waving in the parking lot. A swirl of colored backpacks and lunchboxes fill the halls with cheerful chatter. Today, though, Trevor feels like he's moving through this warm, comforting scene in a haze. He nods absently at Mrs. Robertson, the school secretary, and mumbles a polite, "Good morning." She tilts her head questioningly, noticing his distant expression, but he offers no explanation. He hurries to his classroom, switching on the overhead lights. The walls are plastered with motivational posters. "You are capable of amazing things." He can't help but inwardly scoff at the irony. Am I really capable of fixing my marriage? As students trickle in, Trevor forces himself to smile, greeting them by name. He leads them in a reading exercise, then moves to math drills. The kid's laughter at a silly fraction joke feels like a fragile bubble of happiness that he's afraid to pop. By mid-morning, he's managed to distract himself from the swirling storm of his personal life until Principal Hayes steps into the classroom during a spelling quiz. "Mr. Ryman, a moment," she says quietly, beckoning him out to the hallway. She's a stout woman with kind eyes, though right now her gaze is tinged with concern. Trevor hands the quiz duty to a teaching assistant, then joins Principal Hayes. "Is everything okay?" he asks. "I just wanted to see how you're doing," she replies. "You've seemed a bit off lately. You know the school board is considering you for an administrative support role next semester. I wanted to confirm you're still interested." Trevor's chest tightens. He forgot about that potential promotion entirely. Yes, absolutely. I still want the position. I'm just dealing with some personal matters, but it won't affect my performance here." Principal Hayes nods, scanning his face. "All right. But if you need time or any resources counseling, maybe let us know." She pats his shoulder gently. "Remember, being a teacher doesn't mean you're superhuman." He manages a grateful smile. "Thank you. I appreciate it." She walks away, leaving him alone in the hallway. The fluorescent lights hum softly overhead. For a moment, he stands there, absorbing the worry in her words. He hates that people can see he's struggling. Swallowing hard, he resolves to keep it together at least until day's end. After school, Trevor checks his phone to find 2 missed calls from Rosalie. Surprised, he closes his classroom door and listens to her voicemail. "Trevor, it's me. Can we please talk? I know things look bad, but I have a lot to explain. I need you to hear me out." She sounds tired, on the verge of tears. Trevor closes his eyes, his heart pounding with conflicting emotions. For a split second, he imagines hearing her side of the story, letting relief wash over him if she can prove everything was innocent. But the memory of Alaric's hand on her back and the tension in her eyes won't leave him. His phone buzzes again. Damien. Trevor picks up. "Hey," he says softly. Damien's voice is hurried. "I did a little digging. My reporter friend in Hartford says Alaric Donovan is definitely meeting with multiple congressional staffers, some big pharma lobbying or something. There's rumors about special dinners, more personal than official. Could be just a rumor, or it could be actual deals behind closed doors." "Deals behind closed doors," Trevor repeats, bitterness creeping into his tone. That makes sense. Rosalie has always done whatever it takes to secure the next step in her career. Then guilt gnaws at him. He's never liked speaking about her that way, but now he can't help it. Damien exhales. "Sorry, man, I wish I had better news, but look, maybe this is standard political courting. You know, a fancy dinner, a bit of flattering talk. That doesn't automatically mean an affair." Trevor knows that. Yet the scene at the lounge felt too real to dismiss. "Rosalie left me a voicemail," he finally says. "She wants to talk." "That might be a good idea," Damien replies. "At least you'll get her perspective, and maybe it'll help you decide your next move." Trevor swallows. My next move. The phrase holds a weight he's not sure he can lift. But he agrees. "All right, I'll call her back tonight. Maybe we can meet and set things straight." There's a pause. Then Damien adds, "Take it one step at a time, Trev. Don't expect easy answers." When the call ends, Trevor sinks into the chair at his desk. Outside the window, the sky is a quiet blue, the sun dipping low. A hush falls over the hallway, the once lively chatter of children replaced by an echoing stillness. He replays Rosalie's voicemail in his mind, longing to trust her yet terrified to be fooled again. He opens his phone and stares at her number. She was once his best friend, his partner in every sense. Now, she's become a stranger with secrets. After a few deep breaths, Trevor hits the call button. As it rings, he braces himself, heart hammering. One step at a time, he tells himself. That's all he can do. The night air in the suburbs of Maryland feels unseasonably cool. Trevor Ryman stands by the living room window, fiddling with the sleeve of his t-shirt. He checks the time on his phone, 11:20 p.m. Rosalie still isn't home. A stale cup of coffee sits on the small side table, half drunk and completely cold. He glances at the framed photos on the bookshelf, wedding pictures, snapshots from that day trip to the lakeside park. Each image seems like a relic from another life. He runs a hand through his hair, stepping away to flick on the overhead light in hopes that Rosalie will see it as a beacon the moment she walks in. A few minutes later, the front door finally clicks open. Rosalie enters, shoulders tense beneath her gray blazer. She's wearing pumps that look more appropriate for a corporate gala than a day at the office, and her hair's pinned back in a neat twist. She appears surprised to see Trevor still awake. "Working late?" he asks, striving to keep his voice neutral. She drops her handbag on the couch. "I told you I had extra tasks," she says evenly, though her tone has a faint edge. "The congressman's staff wanted me on a conference call, then some last-minute paperwork for an upcoming meeting." Trevor bites back a retort: an upcoming meeting, or a night on the town. He gestures to the wall clock. "You didn't text me," Rosalie exhales, slipping off her pumps. "I was busy, Trevor. We were under a tight deadline discussing proposals. Why do you look so upset?" He laughs humorlessly. "Do I? Maybe it's because we barely share a meal anymore, or talk about our days. And every time you come home, it's practically midnight." Her eyes flash with irritation. "I'm sorry my work schedule bothers you, but this is what the job demands: long hours, phone calls at odd times. We need the money, and you know how important it is for me to prove myself." Trevor folds his arms. "Important to you, or your father's office?" "Honestly, Rosalie, sometimes I feel like I'm living with a stranger." Silence claims the living room. Rosalie looks as if she's about to snap back, then deflates. She rubs her temples and mutters, "I'm too tired for this." Without another word, she heads toward the bedroom. Trevor stands rooted for a moment, staring after her. The heaviness in his chest feels unbearable, like a weight pressing down on any attempt at closeness. He flips off the overhead light and follows quietly. In their bedroom, Rosalie is already removing her blazer. She catches his reflection in the mirror above the dresser. For an instant, her expression softens. She seems on the brink of saying something. Then she sighs. "You have to understand," she murmurs. "This could be my shot to climb the ladder. My father set up certain introductions. If I mess it up, the whole staff looks bad, and I look incompetent." Trevor drops onto the edge of the bed. "I get that you have ambitions, but you're pushing me away." Her gaze falls to the floor. "I'm not trying to push you away. Everything's just complicated." He doesn't know how to respond. His mind flutters back to that phone call with Damien, the unspoken worry that maybe her complicated schedule hides something else, someone else. But he can't accuse her without proof. The clock on the nightstand ticks ominously. An older, more affectionate version of Trevor might have reached out, pulled her in for a hug. But tonight, they crawl under the sheets on opposite sides, the bed feeling as wide as a canyon. The faint hum of traffic outside underscores the silence. At around midnight, Trevor drifts into a restless sleep, haunted by half-formed images of Rosalie in fancy attire, sitting in some dimly lit lounge with a tall silhouette he can't quite see. "Rosalie, keep that smile going. Someone from the congressman's circle might be watching." Those words come from Mara Delacroix, a petite woman in a shimmering red dress. Her voice drips with practiced charm, though the hint of sarcasm beneath it is hard to miss. Rosalie forces a polite grin and tilts her champagne flute gracefully, scanning the elegant ballroom. Tonight's function is a political gala hosted in a downtown hotel, its chandeliers casting a warm glow over men in tailored suits and women in stylish dresses. Soft orchestral music wafts through the air, occasionally overshadowed by bursts of conversation and laughter. Rosalie's mind is a whirl of stress and caution. She knows how these circles operate. A single rumor could crater her reputation, and people like Mara thrive on half-truths. "Where's your husband tonight?" Mara asks, taking a small sip from her glass, eyes glinting. Rosalie stiffens. "He had school commitments. He's a teacher." "Right." Mara nods indulgently. "Well, let's hope you manage to have fun anyway." Before Rosalie can reply, Reginald Bowman sidles up, his expression so smug it practically shines. He's wearing a midnight blue suit with a pocket square that matches no part of his outfit. "Rosalie, good to see you," he says smoothly. "Have you met Alaric Donovan yet? Word is he's the star guest tonight." Rosalie's stomach does a little flip. She's heard that name more than once in passing. Alaric Donovan is rumored to represent a major pharmaceutical group interested in congressional ties. "Not yet," she manages. "What's he like?" Reginald flashes a knowing grin. "Let's say he's influential. The congressman wants our team to impress him." Mara leans in conspiratorially. "And by impress, Reggie means make sure he leaves with a glowing review and a reason to funnel donations our way, particularly donations that might help certain staffers like you, dear Rosalie, rise through the ranks." Rosalie fidgets with her champagne flute. She doesn't love the sound of that. But if impressing Alaric is what the higher-ups expect, she can't afford to disappoint. A swirl of conflicting emotions tightens her chest. Trevor wouldn't like this. He hates political games, but that's precisely why she tries to keep him at arm's length from such events. She wants to shield him from the manipulative side of her job. "Over there," Reginald whispers, gesturing across the room. A tall man stands near the buffet table, engaged in conversation with a small crowd. He's dressed impeccably, every hair in place. Even at a distance, there's an air of unwavering confidence around him. Rosalie squares her shoulders and drains the last of her champagne. "Let's do this," she says, voice more resolute than she feels. They navigate the mingling groups, pausing periodically as acquaintances greet Reginald or Mara. Finally, they reach Alaric Donovan. He turns, eyes settling on Rosalie with a polite but focused gaze. She quickly introduces herself, explaining her role in the congressman's staff. Alaric listens, nodding thoughtfully. "Pleasure," he murmurs, extending a hand. "I've heard the team is solid. You must be busy with everything going on at Capitol Hill." "Yes," Rosalie replies, trying to sound confident. "It's a busy time, but we take pride in meeting expectations." The momentary spark of curiosity in Alaric's eyes hints that he's sizing her up, checking if she's just another ladder climber or someone worth talking to. Reginald chimes in with a flattering comment about Rosalie's skill at event coordination. She forces a gracious smile but can't shake a niggling sense of unease. Across the room, Mara discreetly lifts her phone and snaps a photo, one that frames Rosalie leaning in to catch Alaric's words. It looks a bit too cozy if taken out of context. Rosalie remains blissfully unaware of Mara's quiet mischief. As the evening wears on, Alaric shifts from casual remarks to more in-depth questions about policy angles and philanthropic outreach. Rosalie answers to the best of her ability, sprinkling in a few anecdotes. She's determined to leave a good impression but remain professional, no easy feat, given the swirl of champagne and half-veiled political agendas all around them. By the time the gala winds down, Rosalie can't recall if she's eaten a single bite. Alaric departs after exchanging business cards with her and a few other staffers. Once he's gone, she exhales like she's been holding her breath for hours. Reginald pats her on the shoulder. "You did well. Donovan seemed intrigued." "Good to know," she replies, trying to keep her relief off her face. As she gathers her purse, she notices a missed text from Trevor. "Hope the event went okay. I'm heading to bed." A twinge of guilt seizes her, overshadowed by the knowledge that soon she might have even more late nights if Donovan expects further meetings. Her career demands it, but the cost, she fears, may be higher than she's willing to pay. Trevor steps out of Butterbean's cafe, the day's last rays of sunlight gleaming off the cafe's glass facade. In his hand, he carries a Togo box of pastries. He's supposed to bring them to a small faculty meeting, later Principal Hayes' idea of fostering camaraderie among teachers. But pastries aren't what's on his mind. His college friend, Damian Harrington, walks beside him, checking his phone. They met here after Trevor's school day ended, at Trevor's request. "So you actually saw pictures from that gala?" Trevor asks quietly as they cross a street toward the parking lot. Damian pockets his phone. "Not exactly. My co-worker's friend was there. He recognized Rosalie from a news clipping about congressional staffers. Heard she was chatting up this Alaric Donovan guy." Trevor's chest tightens. "Chatting him up how?" Damian hesitates. "It might be innocent. She's in politics, so networking is part of the job. But the friend said they seemed friendly." Trevor glances at the Togo box in his hand, blinking at the neon sign of a laundromat across the street. Friendly as normal, right? She's supposed to impress these big donors and lobbyists or whatever they are. Damien studies him. Yes, but you wouldn't be worried if you thought it was just work. A muscle in Trevor's jaw tenses. I don't want to accuse her of anything. Yet everything's off, she's always away, always exhausted, barely speaks to me at home. Could be stress, Damien says, and then they reach Trevor's car. But if your gut's telling you something's wrong, it might be worth doing a little more digging. Trevor sets the pastry box on the car roof, rubs his face, and sighs. I hate feeling like a suspicious husband. She used to share every detail of her day with me. Now it's like pulling teeth just to find out where she's been. Damien leans against the car door, eyes thoughtful. Let me help. I can quietly keep tabs on her upcoming trips if you want, but only if you're sure. Trevor hesitates. He recalls the tension at home, Rosalie's late nights, the dizzying sensation that he's lost control of his marriage. All right, he finally says. Maybe gather info, but nothing invasive. I just want to know if she's safe or if there's someone else. Damien nods, giving Trevor's shoulder a reassuring pat. All right, man, I'll be discreet. As they part ways, Trevor grips the steering wheel, mind spinning. He despises resorting to secrets and half-baked investigations, but something about the name Alaric Donovan gnaws at him. Could Rosalie be chasing her ambition so hard that she's forgetting what we promised each other? In the rearview mirror, Trevor spots a neighbor from a few blocks down, Miss Hillard, walking her beagle across the parking lot. She waves at Trevor, who musters a weak smile in return. That's how it feels these days, everyone else going about normal life while he sinks into a quagmire of doubt. He reminds himself that what he wants is simple, honest conversation, reassurance. But Rosalie's world is anything but simple. He starts the engine, the cafe's sign shining behind him in neon pink. As he drives off, his mind keeps replaying the same question. Where do I even begin to fix this before it breaks completely? Rosalie sits at her sleek metal desk in the congressman's office, half listening to the steady hum of phones and printers. Her inbox is flooded, some urgent, some trivial. The overhead lights buzz faintly, an annoying background static that amplifies her stress. She glances at the door to Reginald Bowman's office. He summoned her earlier with a cryptic message. We need to talk about Donovan. Her stomach sank at the thought. She's done everything the team asked charmed Alaric at the gala, answered policy questions, maintained a professional, though slightly flattering tone in emails. Yet she senses more is expected. Just then, Mara Delacroix appears, tapping manicured nails on Rosalie's desk. You're still here? She says with a quirked eyebrow. Bowman's waiting for you. Something about a big meeting with Donovan in Hartford. Rosalie's pulse spikes. Hartford? That's not local. When did we get wind of that? She asks, trying to keep her voice level. Yesterday. Mara shrugs, leaning in. Word around the office is that Donovan wants a closed-door discussion. High stakes. The congressman thinks you'd be perfect to handle the logistics. Probably sweet-talk him into finalizing certain deals. Rosalie hates the insinuation in Mara's tone, but she can't show weakness now. Instead, she stands up, smoothing out her blouse. I see. Thanks. Mara smirks. Oh, sure. I'm only telling you because I know you're eager to climb the ladder. Good luck. Crossing the hallway, Rosalie steels herself. Inside Bowman's office, the blinds are half shut, giving the room a dim, conspiratorial feel. He greets her with a cool nod. Close the door, will you? Once she does, he dives straight in. Donovan's team wants you in Hartford next week. They've got a potential philanthropic initiative, but it ties into some policy our congressman is pushing. We need to secure Donovan's support. He's crucial right now. Rosalie folds her arms. And you're sure I'm the right person for this? Bowman raises an eyebrow. You impressed him at the gala. He specifically asked if you'd be attending. That's a good sign. But we need results. The congressman expects us to handle it smoothly. She tampers down the churn in her gut. Trevor's face flashes in her mind. How is she going to explain another work trip, especially one to Hartford? They've never been more distant, yet these demands keep coming. All right, she says cautiously. I'll go, but I'll need details. Bowman pushes a slim manila folder toward her. Flight itinerary, hotel bookings, meeting schedule mostly revolve around 2 days of events. I'm sure you'll figure out the rest. Don't disappoint us, Mortimer. His tone is borderline threatening. Rosalie nods once, snatching the folder. She rises and leaves the office, ignoring the prickle of anxiety. Don't disappoint. Right. She navigates back to her desk, dropping into the chair. The folder on her lap feels heavier than paper. At that moment, her phone vibrates. Trevor's name lights up on the screen. Instinctively, she sends it to voicemail. She can't deal with the guilt and the confrontation right this second. Another wave of remorse hits her. He'll wonder why I'm ignoring him again. 20 minutes later, with the office lights flickering overhead, Rosalie tucks the folder into her bag. She forces a polite smile at co-workers who pass by, but inside, she's torn. This Hartford trip could mean a major career milestone, exactly the kind of thing her father always wanted for her. But it will also drive another wedge between her and Trevor if she keeps him in the dark. She thinks back to the last real moment of tenderness with him probably weeks ago, snuggled on the couch watching a late-night comedy show. Now, they hardly share a civil conversation. She wonders if he suspects something like an affair. The thought ties her stomach in knots, especially because she doesn't think she's crossing that line. But what if Trevor sees it differently? Pushing the worry aside, Rosalie gathers her belongings. She's about to step out when Mara passes by, shooting her a sly grin. Headed to Hartford soon, I hear. You must be so excited. Don't forget to pack something sophisticated. Rosalie fights an urge to roll her eyes. Yeah, thanks for the tip. Exiting the building, she inhales the crisp evening air. Sophisticated indeed. Part of her wonders if stepping into Donovan's world means stepping out of her marriage for good. She hopes not, but she's no longer sure how to stop the slow-motion collapse in her personal life. What she does know, the flight is booked, the date is set, and she'll have to face Trevor's questions or resentful silence sooner rather than later. As she walks toward the metro station, she braces herself for yet another difficult conversation at home. She only prays it won't spark a confrontation that leaves them both irreversibly shattered. Setting, late evening in Hartford, at the Aurora Hotel Bar Lounge. The sky outside is ink black, flecked with city lights. Rosalie Mortimer steps off an elevator into a softly lit corridor, her stomach knotted with nerves. She glances at her phone, no messages from Trevor. Not that she expected any. She never told him the specifics of this trip. Inside the lounge, the decor is upscale modern. Glass tables, curved leather booths, and a live jazz duo playing soft tunes near the back. Damian Harrington sits inconspicuously at the far end of the bar, wearing a light jacket, his gaze flicking between the patrons. He's there at Trevor's request, a quiet observer in case anything suspicious unfolds. At a corner table, Alaric Donovan stands to greet Rosalie. He's tall, as always, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit. He extends a hand with the easy confidence of someone used to commanding rooms. Two associates, also in business attire, offer polite nods before they excuse themselves, leaving Alaric and Rosalie alone. "Long day?" he asks, guiding her toward the seat across from him. Rosalie exhales. "You could say that. The flight was delayed, and there were last-minute files from the congressman's office to review." Alaric signals for a pair of drinks, then leans in slightly. "I appreciate you coming all this way. We're hoping to finalize philanthropic plans with the congressman's staff, particularly the part you're involved in." She forces a light smile. "That's why I'm here, right?" Between them, the tension is subtle but present. For Rosalie, it stems from more than just this deal. It's the guilt about Trevor, the friction in her marriage, the suspicion that her superiors want her to charm Alaric more than is strictly professional. Meanwhile, Alaric looks faintly amused, as though he's aware of the power he holds. Across the lounge, Damian quietly snaps a photo with his phone, capturing Rosalie and Alaric leaning close to talk. He texts Trevor a quick update. They're here, just talking business so far. As the conversation between Rosalie and Alaric drifts from philanthropic endeavors to personal anecdotes, he shares a story about nearly missing a connecting flight. Rosalie notices Alaric's hand occasionally tapping against her forearm for emphasis. It's casual, but it raises the hairs on her neck. She can't help but think Trevor would hate this. With every soft laugh Alaric elicits, With every polite nudge of his fingertips, Rosalie feels a swirl of conflicting emotions. Pride that she's handling a major client, fear that she's crossing a line, and an undercurrent of thrill at being in the orbit of such an influential figure. That thrill unsettles her more than anything else. Eventually, Alaric slides a branded folder across the table. Here are some potential partnership outlines. If your congressman's team can sign off quickly, we might lock in the budget before the next fiscal cycle. Rosalie scans the first page. The numbers are huge millions for local community projects, but also hidden lines that might benefit Alaric's company tax-wise. She chooses her words carefully. It's generous, but I'll have to relay the details back to the office. Alaric's smile widens. I trust your judgment. You've been quite capable thus far. At that moment, a wave of music crescendos, and Alaric leans closer to make himself heard. From another angle, especially a phone camera angle, it looks like an intimate whisper. Damien lifts his phone, capturing the image. He zooms in on Rosalie's face. She's half smiling, half anxious. Then the lounge door opens. A tall figure steps in, scanning the booths. It's Trevor Ryman, heart thudding so loudly it muffles the hum of jazz. He's traveled here on impulse after receiving Damien's updates. Spotting Rosalie at the corner with Alaric, he tenses, recalling the unshakable fear that this might be more than business. Trevor doesn't notice Damien at first. He just sees his wife with another man, glasses raised, leaning in close. His breath catches in his throat. The ring on his left hand suddenly feels cold. Trevor steps forward, trying to quell the roar in his ears. Damien spots him and tries to wave discreetly, but Trevor isn't looking for subtlety. He's here to confront the scene he's dreaded for weeks. Rosalie laughs at a remark Alaric makes, one of those polite, polished laughs. When she glances over Alaric's shoulder, her eyes widen. Trevor is there, phone camera raised. Her pulse lurches. "Trevor?" Rosalie blurts, voice pitched in surprise. Alaric twists in his seat, eyebrows lifting. "Your husband?" he guesses quietly, reading Rosalie's expression. "Should I?" Trevor closes the distance. "Don't let me interrupt," he says, sarcasm sharp as shattered glass. "I'm just documenting your meeting." Rosalie stands quickly. "What are you doing here?" Trevor's jaw tightens. He shifts his gaze from her to Alaric. "Business meeting, huh?" He holds up his phone. "I've got pictures that say otherwise." Alaric, annoyed, rises to his feet. "I don't know who you think you are, but this is a professional arrangement. Rosalie can confirm, but Rosalie, caught off guard, snaps Trevor. "You have no right to spy on me. This is my job." Trevor barks a humorless laugh. "Your job? Looks more like cozy drinks and private smiles." They stare at each other, fury and hurt swirling. Guests at nearby tables cast sideways glances, sensing a domestic blow-up in the making. Alaric tries to intervene. "Miss Mortimer, perhaps we should talk later." Rosalie clutches the back of her seat. She knows she should de-escalate, but anger flares. All the stress, all the secrets, it's too much. "Trevor, you're embarrassing me in front of a crucial contact. Why can't you trust me?" "Trust?" Trevor's voice cracks. "You never told me you'd be here tonight, with him, in some lounge. And I'm supposed to trust you after you shut me out?" Alaric grabs his folder from the table, face hard. "Miss Mortimer, I'll be at the hotel tomorrow for the next session. We can finalize details then if that's still feasible." He flicks Trevor a cold glare before heading out. The hush left behind is suffocating. Damien steps closer, phone in hand. Rosalie spots him for the first time, her eyes brimming with betrayal. "Damien? You too?" He shrugs apologetically. "I told Trevor I'd keep an eye out. I was just worried." Rosalie exhales, trembling. "So you're both spying on me. Great." Trevor's anger falters at the raw hurt in her voice. But before he can speak, she picks up her handbag, the document packet, and storms toward the lounge exit. "You want to see how I handle my business? Fine, let's go." Outside, the wind whips at their clothes. Rosalie whirls on Trevor, her tears threatening to spill. "You just ruined everything. Alaric's deal, my entire office was counting on me. He'll probably walk away now." Trevor's frustration surges again, overshadowing any flicker of guilt. "I didn't ruin anything. This was your own doing. You were lying to me." "Because I knew how you'd react," she yells. voice echoing off the brick walls. "I've been under so much pressure, and you make it about your insecurities." At that, Trevor jabs a finger toward the lounge door. "My insecurities? You call me while you're out with this suave lobbyist, calling it just business. You think I don't see the way you two looked at each other?" Rosalie's mouth opens, but she can't find the words to defend herself. Part of her knows the conversation with Alaric was drifting too personal. Another part is outraged that Trevor's jealousy and ambush overshadow the nuance of her professional goals. A sudden movement from the corner draws both their attention. It's Damien, keeping his distance but obviously concerned. Rosalie shoots him a glare. "Don't," she warns. "You've done enough." Sensing no good can come from further confrontation, Damien backs off, letting them continue. The tension crackles like live wires in the cold Hartford air. Rosalie's phone buzzes in her purse. She checks the screen. Reginald Bowman is calling. She shuts it off. The meltdown is complete. Whatever fleeting success she had with Alaric is now in jeopardy. Trevor, chest heaving, feels an aching mixture of regret and anger. "Rosalie," he says finally, voice quieter. "I never wanted it to be like this." She sniffles. "You think I did? But now you've seen it, Trevor. You've seen how far I'm expected to go just to hold on to this job. I can't keep living in your shadow, nor can I keep lying to you to maintain peace." He stares at her, chest tight. "Maybe we're both lying to each other then?" They stand locked in silence for a moment. The city lights blink in the distance. Damien watches from afar, unsure if he should intervene. At length, Rosalie spins on her heel. "I have to salvage what's left of this trip. Go home, Trevor." Her gaze flicks to Damien. "You too." Trevor watches her walk away, each step echoing on the pavement. He doesn't follow. 2 days later, Rosalie is back in Maryland, stepping into the congressman's office with dread. News has traveled fast. A rumor says Alaric Donovan is backing out of a deal that was all but certain to funnel big funds into the congressman's campaign and local projects, and Rosalie Mortimer is at the center of the fiasco. She adjusts her blouse nervously, noticing stares from co-workers. A couple of them whisper behind their cubicle partitions. Mara Delacroix stands near the coffee machine, arms folded. She meets Rosalie's eyes with a pitying smirk. Clearly, Mara has heard everything. The summons arrives quickly. Reginald Bowman steps out, motioning Rosalie into a cramped conference room. She forces composure, smoothing her hair as she walks past him. Inside, Bowman and a more senior staffer, Miss Carlton, wait with stern expressions. Bowman doesn't mince words. Donovan's team forwarded a formal notice. They're withdrawing support. Apparently, he feels the environment is unprofessional. He specifically mentioned incidents at the Hartford lounge. Rosalie's stomach knots. "I can explain. There was a misunderstanding. My husband showed up unannounced, and Missy..." Carlton cuts her off. "We needed this partnership to go through. The congressman is livid. A meltdown of this scale on a business trip is unacceptable." Rosalie's voice shakes. "I tried to salvage it. Donovan refused to meet again after that night. It's not entirely my fault. The office never told me I'd be on my own with him in a bar setting. The parameters were vague. Reginald said I just needed to impress him." Bowman narrows his eyes. "Don't shift blame. You escalated the situation. We had everything aligned for you to handle Donovan discreetly, but this drama with your husband destroyed our credibility. Now the congressman stands to lose vital contributions." Rosalie opens her mouth to argue, but realizes how futile it is. The entire staff wants a scapegoat, and she's the perfect candidate. Miss Carlton flips a file shut. "We're terminating your position, effective immediately." The words strike like a hammer blow. Rosalie feels her cheeks burn with humiliation and panic. "Terminating?" she repeats, voice barely above a whisper. Bowman's expression is cool. "Yes. Gather your personal items by the end of today. Security will escort you out if necessary." She stares at him, mind whirling. No job means no income, no health coverage, and her father, Ambrose, will be furious. "This is final," Miss Carlton interjects. "We've already filed the paperwork." Numb, Rosalie stands, tugging her blazer around her stiffly. She steps out of the conference room to find half the office craning necks to watch. Mara Delacroix sets down her coffee, feigning surprise. "Oh, Rosalie," she says in a syrupy voice, I'm so sorry it came to this. Rosalie ignores her. With trembling hands, she gathers a few personal trinkets, a framed photo of her parents, a decorative pen set Trevor gave her when she first got hired. The rest she leaves behind. She can't bear the stairs any longer. Security meets her at the elevator, a stocky guard she's barely said hello to in the past. He hits the down button and they ride in silence. When the doors open at the lobby, he mutters, "Sorry," then steps away. She nods numbly. Out on the street, her phone buzzes. She checks it. Dad calling. A spear of dread pierces her chest. She knows he must have heard. There's no way to explain losing such a promising job, especially after he pulled strings to land her in that office in the first place. She declines the call and stands there, the city bustling around her. Even the bright midday sun can't warm the chill that settled in her bones. In the quiet Maryland suburb they call home, or once did, Trevor stares at an open suitcase on the bed. He's systematically folding his clothes, stacking them in neat piles. The house is eerily silent, the walls themselves seeming to hold their breath. There's no more warmth in this space, no comforting presence of Rosalie. The front door creaks open. Trevor looks up, bracing himself. Rosalie steps inside, eyes rimmed with red. She clutches a folder of severance documents and a battered cardboard box containing office knickknacks. He catches sight of her disheveled hair and tear-streaked face. "Rosalie," he murmurs, "what happened?" She sets the box down and meets his gaze with a bitter laugh. "I lost my job. They sacked me because of the scandal in Hartford. I'm unemployed, Trevor." His heart constricts. Despite his anger, he hates seeing her in such pain. "I'm sorry," he says softly. She looks at the suitcase on the bed, expression darkening. "So it's true. You're leaving?" He nods, swallowing hard. "I can't do this anymore. The jealousy, the secrets, it's killing me." "And you think walking out is the solution?" She fires back, though her tone quivers with sorrow. "Trevor, I've lost everything now. My career, my reputation, you." He winces. "You never lost me until you pushed me away with half-truths and locked doors. You can't blame me for not trusting you when you've been so distant." She inhales shakily, stepping closer. "I made mistakes, but it was always for us, our future. I thought if I succeeded at work, we could have a better life. I didn't realize how far I was drifting." Trevor sets aside a shirt, blinking away tears. "I believed we'd build a family. Now you're chasing deals. I'm second-guessing everything." And that scene in Hartford. He closes his eyes, exhaling. "I can't shake it." Rosalie hugs herself, as if physically trying to hold her body together. "Alaric was business. Maybe I crossed lines, but I never—" She stops, voice cracking. "I never slept with him or anyone else. I just wanted to keep my job." Trevor nods, a lump in his throat. "I want to believe you, but the trust is gone, Rosalie. Something broke inside me that night." They stand in heavy silence. Outside, a neighbor's dog barks, punctuating the tension. Rosalie lifts her chin, tears glistening. "So what happens next?" Trevor zips up his suitcase, eyes bleak. "I'm leaving. I found a short-term place near the school. I need space, and I'm filing for divorce." The word divorce shatters her remaining composure. She covers her mouth, a strangled sob escaping. "Please," she whispers. "Don't do that. Let's talk to someone. Get counseling. We can fix this." He presses a palm to his forehead, tears stinging his eyes. "I've thought about counseling, but we're too far gone. I can't live every day wondering if you're lying about the next business trip. I'm sorry, but it's over." Rosalie trembles, sinking onto the edge of the bed. She stares at the floor, her illusions of success and a perfect marriage collapsing like a house of cards. "I don't have a job. My father's furious. And now my husband is leaving." Her voice is a hollow whisper. Trevor steps toward the doorway, suitcase in hand. Guilt and sadness swirl in his chest, but a resolve has hardened. "I'll contact an attorney and have them send you the papers. I won't ask for anything more than for you to let me go." She looks up, tears tracking down her cheeks. "I wish I could rewind everything," she breathes. "I'd do it all differently." He offers a sorrowful nod, then steps out into the hallway. The sound of his footsteps retreating echoes through the house. For a moment, Rosalie wonders if she should chase after him, beg him to stay. But she can't summon the strength. He's gone, and she feels the finality in the click of the front door. In the hush that follows, Rosalie glances around the half-empty bedroom. The closet door, once crammed with both their clothes, stands ajar, revealing the absence of Trevor's jackets. A wave of grief crashes over her, leaving her breathless. She crumples onto the bed, hugging a pillow that still carries his faint cologne. Sobs tear through her chest, raw and uncontrollable. A crisp spring breeze blows across the small suburban complex where Trevor Ryman now rents a modest one-bedroom apartment. Late afternoon sunlight filters through the blinds, illuminating the sparse living room. Stacks of boxes still sit unopened against the walls. Trevor never imagined living alone, not like this. He drops his school bag near a second-hand couch and exhales. It's been 2 weeks since he walked out of the house he once shared with Rosalie. The routine of teaching elementary kids, preparing lesson plans, corralling recess has been his only anchor in this swirling sea of heartbreak. He glances at his phone. A few missed texts from Damian Harrington asking how he's holding up. Trevor sets the phone aside without responding. He's not ready to talk much, not even with his best friend. The ache in his chest feels raw, like a fresh wound. His new landlord, Miss Reed, had asked if he was between places when he signed the lease. He offered a polite half-truth. Just needed a quick move for personal reasons. She nodded kindly but didn't pry. Now, though, the silence in this apartment is nearly suffocating. Trevor flicks on the TV for background noise, some local news channel droning about city council reforms. He can't concentrate. Every so often, his gaze strays to the single-framed photo on the bookshelf. Him and Rosalie on their first anniversary, beaming with youth and optimism. A soft knock on the door breaks the hush. Trevor checks the peephole. It's Miss Reed, holding a couple of envelopes. He opens the door with a polite smile. "Sorry to bother you," she says, handing him the mail. These were dropped in the wrong box. Looks like important documents. Trevor's heart skips. He recognizes the return address, the county education office. Carefully, he thanks Miss Reed and retreats inside. Ripping open the envelope, he scans the letter. A formal consideration for an administrative support role in the district. He'd applied to this a while back before his life started unraveling. They want an interview next week. He tries to feel excitement, but only a dull flicker arises. It's good news, yet overshadowed by the weight of everything. A quiet voice in his mind whispers, "Rosalie would have been so happy for me." He pictures her bright smile the way she used to cheer him on. That memory stings now, a bittersweet echo. Setting the letter aside, he changes into a worn hoodie and leaves the apartment for a walk around the neighborhood. The sky is a hazy blue, the air sharp with the scent of budding flowers. He passes rows of small houses and tidy lawns, each exuding the warmth of families he no longer feels part of. Eventually, he stops at a local park. A winding path leads to a pond where ducks congregate. Trevor notices a mother and child feeding them breadcrumbs, the child squealing with delight. A pang of longing shoots through him. Once he and Rosalie talked excitedly about having kids, 2 or 3, definitely, she joked. Now that future seems locked behind an impenetrable door. He settles on a bench, rummaging in his thoughts. He's filed for divorce. The word still tastes bitter on his tongue, but there's no turning back. He's convinced the trust between them is shattered. Yet no matter how he tries to justify it, an ache remains, like he's lost part of himself along with Rosalie. The sun dips behind the treetops, lengthening shadows across the grass. Trevor knows he should return to plan tomorrow's lessons, maybe respond to Damian's messages, but all he does is stare at the rippling pond, mind replaying scattered memories of Rosalie's laugh, her closeness in bed on rainy mornings, the way she teased him for being Iowa sweet. A surge of anger wars with sorrow. He can't decide which is more painful. At last, he rises and walks back through the dimming streets. In the mailbox outside his apartment, he discovers a flyer. Chesapeake College announces new teacher leadership scholarship. It's an odd coincidence, 2 opportunities in one day. He tucks it under his arm. A sign to move on, he wonders. But how does one move on from heartbreak? Meanwhile, Rosalie Mortimer stands on the porch of her childhood home in Maryland, staring at the front door. She can't decide if entering feels more like defeat or relief. Inside, her mother, Blanche, presumably waits with worried eyes. Her father, Ambrose, might be reading the paper or resting, given his precarious health. Gathering courage, Rosalie eases open the door. The hallway still smells of lemon polish and the faint perfume of lilies, her mother's favorite. Blanche appears from the kitchen, wiping hands on an apron. "You're home," she says softly, as though not sure if Rosalie is a guest or a returning daughter. Rosalie sets down her battered suitcase. "For a while, I guess. My apartment was tied to my job." The words tumble out, hollow. Blanche bites her lip, crossing the living room to hug her daughter. Rosalie stiffens at first, then melts into the embrace. It's been weeks since she let herself feel that warmth. "Your father's in the den," Blanche murmurs. "He's upset, though he won't say it outright. Please go easy on him. You know how his blood pressure can be." Rosalie nods. She steps into the den, a cozy room lined with old books and a large painting of a Maryland shoreline. Ambrose Mortimer sits in an armchair, flipping through newspaper pages with shaky fingers. He glances up, eyes sharp yet layered with disappointment. "Rosalie," he greets, voice subdued. "I heard from the congressman's office. They told me what happened." A pause. "I did everything I could to pave a path for you there, and you—" He breaks off, rubbing a hand across his brow. She lowers her head. "I'm sorry, Dad. Things got complicated. The Donovan deal—" He slams the newspaper onto his lap. "Complicated? You had a golden opportunity. Now you're out of a job, tarnishing my connections, and your marriage, Blanche told me Trevor left." Rosalie winces. It's all laid out, raw and humiliating. "I know I messed up," she whispers. "Please, I just need some time to figure things out." Ambrose's face softens with worry. Despite everything, he's still her father. "You can stay here as long as you need." He sighs, then adds, "But you must do something to get back on track. Have you tried calling Trevor?" "Mending fences." A knot forms in her throat. "He won't pick up. I tried, he blocked me or something. I can't reach him." Silence stretches. Blanche peeks in from the doorway, a concerned frown marring her delicate features. "Honey," she says gently, "maybe let him cool off for a bit. Focus on yourself now." Rosalie drops onto the sofa, overwhelmed. The living room's old ticking clock fills the hush. She recalls family game nights in this very spot. She was unstoppable at Scrabble, always wanting to prove how clever she was. Now she feels like a child again, lost and ashamed. "Dad," she begins tentatively, "I'm sorry about your connections, your reputation. If you need me out of the house, Ambrose lifts a hand. "Stop. Just because I'm disappointed doesn't mean I'm tossing you out. I do expect you to regroup. Maybe you can do some volunteering or see if another political office has openings. Or," he clears his throat, looking at her intently, "you could consider something entirely different if politics no longer suits you." She's silent. The weight of her failures presses her down. "I'll figure it out, Dad. Thank you for letting me stay." He picks up the paper again, though his gaze remains distant. "We'll get through this," he says simply, as if hoping the words can manifest reality. "But next time you get an opportunity, don't let it slip." Rosalie nods stiffly. Over his shoulder, she sees a photo on the mantel, her and Trevor on their wedding day, Ambrose beaming with pride behind them. The life she envisioned, the future they planned, has disintegrated. She wonders if it's salvageable or if she must forge a new path alone. A week later, Rosalie stands by the phone in the Mortimer house, staring at the faded wallpaper. She's tried calling Trevor countless times, but every attempt goes to voicemail when it even rings. She suspects he's blocked her completely. Desperate for some clarity, she dials Reginald Bowman. He was once a seemingly helpful colleague, though she knows how cunning he can be. The phone rings, then he picks up with a guarded tone. "Bowman," he says. Rosalie clutches the receiver. "Reginald, it's Rosalie. I know the office fired me, but I need references. Maybe you can, I don't know, help me find something else?" A short laugh crackles down the line. "References? After the fiasco with Donovan, do you think anyone in the political circuit wants to stand by your name? I'm sorry, but I can't risk my standing for you." She closes her eyes, feeling the sting of betrayal. Okay. I understand." Her voice shakes. "How about just a letter of some sort, confirming I worked under you?" It doesn't have to be glowing. I just need something. He hesitates, then sighs. I'll think about it, but don't expect miracles. My recommendation alone won't fix your reputation. An awkward beat. Look, I have to go. Good luck. He ends the call without a goodbye. Rosalie slams the phone onto its cradle, tears burning her eyes. In frustration, she dials Mara Delacroix next, half hoping Mara might show a scrap of sympathy. The phone rings once, twice, then a chirpy voice answers, Mara speaking. Rosalie braces herself. Mara, it's me. I was wondering if you'd heard of any openings or if you could point me to... Mara's laugh is ice cold. Rosalie, darling, you really think I'd share my contacts after the spectacle you caused? Word is, you antagonized Donovan and tanked the congressman's major funding. The boat sailed, and you're not on it. Blood rushing in her ears, Rosalie stands straighter. It wasn't all my fault. You know how the office pushes staffers, Mara cuts her off. All I know is you're persona non grata in half the state. Maybe next time, try not to let personal drama ruin your professional game. Bye now. The line goes dead. Rosalie lets the phone slip from her hand, despair washing over her. Her illusions about workplace camaraderie have disintegrated. Clearly, in the political world, everyone's out for themselves. She wanders into the kitchen where Blanche is chopping vegetables. Blanche notes her daughter's drawn face. Any luck? Rosalie musters a bitter smile. No, they're acting like they never knew me. Reginald might give me a bland letter, but it won't do much. A lump of regret knots her throat. I see now how shallow those relationships were. Blanche sets down the knife and touches Rosalie's shoulder. Then maybe it's a sign to start fresh. Your father might be upset, but he'll come around. Start fresh, Rosalie echoes, choking back tears. I only wish Trevor would talk to me. I feel like I owe him an apology or something, but he won't even let me say I'm sorry. Blanche nods, eyes sad. Give it time. Maybe he'll soften. Meanwhile, let me handle your father, make sure he doesn't push you too hard. Rosalie bows her head gratefully. Thanks, Mom. Later that evening, she slips into her childhood bedroom, a small space with pastel walls and a single bed. Her old diaries lie in a dusty box in the corner. She flips through one from her teenage years, reading bright-eyed entries about wanting to be a congresswoman, wanting to change the world. Look at me now, she thinks wryly. As the night settles, she stares at her phone, half hoping Trevor might unblock her. But no calls come. In the hush, she realizes how alone she truly is, how quickly superficial alliances crumble. All that's left is her family's reluctant support and an uncertain path forward. A few days later, a gray sky looms over the Mortimer residence. Rosalie sits at the dining table, sipping lukewarm tea. She can't shake the feeling that something else is about to fall apart. That's when a car pulls into the driveway, a uniformed courier stepping out. Blanche hurries to the window, then beckons Rosalie. Someone's here with documents, Blanche says, anxiety in her voice. Heart pounding, Rosalie opens the door. The courier holds out a manila envelope. For Miss Rosalie Mortimer, he announces, handing it over. She signs numbly. He nods and walks away into the drizzle. Stepping back inside, Rosalie tears open the seal. Her eyes skim the first few lines and her breath catches. She staggers back, pressing a hand to her lips. A restraining order? She manages, voice trembling. Blanche rushes forward. What does it say? Rosalie's eyes glaze with tears. He's asked the court to make sure I don't bother him. It's not permanent, but it's in effect until our divorce proceedings are done. He wants me gone from his life, legally. Blanche covers her mouth, horrified. This is serious. My God, Rosalie. Tears slide down Rosalie's cheeks. She flips through the document's legal jargon detailing how she can't appear at his workplace or attempt direct communication that he hasn't consented to. There's also an outline of the divorce terms. It's all so stark, so final. She slumps into a chair, heart pounding. I can't believe he went this far. Is this how badly he hates me? Enough to file a restraining order? Blanche rubs her daughter's shoulder. Maybe he's just protecting himself emotionally, or worried you'll keep pushing for reconciliation. Men do foolish things when they feel hurt. Ambrose enters, sees the papers, and his face darkens. What is this? Rosalie holds them up, tears falling. Trevor wants me to sign a no-contact agreement until we finalize the divorce. He's even blocked me everywhere else. Her voice breaks. Dad, I don't know what to do. Ambrose softens, though frustration is etched in his features. We'll get you a lawyer. You have rights. But Rosalie... He takes a breath, choosing his words carefully. This looks bad. If he's determined to cut you out, you might have to face that it's truly over. Blanche grimaces. Surely there's a chance to talk it out. Rosalie flips to the last page. She notices a line. A one-time mediation or final meeting can be arranged under legal supervision. A spark of desperate hope flickers. It says I can request a meeting before the court date. That means I might at least see him face to face. She trembles, remembering how Trevor once gazed at her with such warmth. Now he's so furious or hurt, he wants legal distance. I'll do it, she murmurs. Whatever it takes. I need to tell him my side, or at least apologize. Ambrose nods. Then do it properly. Let a lawyer handle the process. No more chaos for everyone's sake. Rosalie sniffles, wiping away tears. Her mother gently pats her back. It'll be all right, Blanche whispers, though she doesn't sound convinced. Outside, rain patters on the roof, echoing Rosalie's turbulent emotions. She can't decide if this final blow is punishment or a twisted chance to salvage some dignity. Signing the papers will confirm the path to divorce, but the note about a mediated meeting dangles like a fragile lifeline. With trembling hands, she closes the envelope. Her stomach twists at the thought of a courtroom confrontation or a cold legal office where Trevor sits across from her, refusing to meet her eyes. But if that's the only way to speak to him, she'll endure it. A late afternoon sun bathes the small chapel in a warm glow, illuminating the stained glass windows. Inside, the pews are polished to a soft shine, and the faint odor of beeswax candles lingers in the air. This chapel was once a place of celebration for Trevor Ryman and Rosalie Mortimer, where they exchanged vows beneath the high-arched ceiling. Now it's a neutral ground, per their lawyer's arrangement, for a final, court-approved meeting before the divorce goes through. Rosalie arrives first, clutching her purse nervously. She chose a simple, knee-length navy dress, nothing flashy. Her hair is pulled back loosely, as if she didn't have the energy for elaborate styling. She glances at a row of dusty hymnals, recalling how she once stood here in a white gown, heart dancing with excitement. That moment feels a lifetime away. She hears footsteps. Turning, she sees Trevor enter, wearing a button-down shirt and dark slacks. He seems leaner, more somber. Their eyes meet, and for a moment, neither speaks. It's as though the chapel's hush wraps them in a cocoon, forcing them to confront the tension that is built over months. A neutral mediator, a woman named Carla Jenkins, stands discreetly at the chapel's side entrance, ready to step in if tempers flare. She nods politely, then waits at a distance, letting them try to talk privately first. Trevor clears his throat. Rosalie, he greets, voice hushed. I didn't expect we'd meet here. It's been a while. She nods, heart pounding. It was my idea, she admits softly, gesturing to the altar. We got married here. I guess I needed the reminder of what we used to be. His expression flickers pain, regret, maybe even longing. I understand, he murmurs, sliding his hands into his pockets. So what do you want to say? Rosalie steps forward, her voice trembling. First, thank you for agreeing to meet. I know the restraining order was important to you, and I didn't want to violate that. Trevor looks away briefly. That was about protecting myself. I couldn't handle more conflict. I know, she whispers, tears threatening. She takes a shaky breath. Trevor, I never planned to hurt you. I got caught up in that world trying to prove I could be successful. I was naive. I let people push me into compromising situations. He watches her carefully. You acted like I was the one holding you back. You never told me what was really going on. His voice catches, thick with resentment. And Hartford, the secrecy, the way you flirted with Donovan. I know, her voice breaks. But I swear, I never slept with him or anyone else. I was just trying to seal a deal the office demanded. She swallows hard, tears glimmering. I'm so sorry. I see now how messed up it was, letting my ambition override our marriage. Trevor's jaw tightens. I believed you when we got married. We talked about having a family, building a life together. Then everything became about your job. She nods, tears spilling over. I lost sight of what mattered, and now I've lost everything else too, my career, my reputation, and you. She sinks to her knees, voice quavering. I'm begging you for forgiveness. Even if we can't go back, I can't stand you hating me. The sight of her kneeling rips at Trevor's heart. A swirl of memory crashes over him. Her laughter on their honeymoon, the warmth of her hand in his. He steps forward, helping her to stand. Rosalie, don't do that, he murmurs, anguish clear in his tone. She stands shakily, gripping his sleeve. Tell me if there's any chance to fix this. Trevor closes his eyes, pain etched on his face. I don't know, he admits. I'm not sure there's anything left to fix. Trust once broken. His voice trails off. I'm just not the same person I was, Rosalie. And I'm not sure you are either. A tear slips down her cheek. Please, she says, eyes searching his. I'm trying to change, to be someone better. If you can find it in your heart. He steps away, his gaze flicking to the sunlit, stained glass window. I can't promise anything, he says hoarsely. I don't hate you. I'm hurt, and I can't just erase that. The mediator, sensing a crucial moment, quietly approaches. Mr. Ryman, Miss Mortimer, she says gently. Do you need a few minutes, or shall we discuss the legal points now? They exchange glances. Rosalie wipes her eyes, nodding at Trevor. Let's proceed, she says softly, heartbreak lacing every word. As they join the mediator near the chapel's side pew, Trevor cannot help but notice how haunted Rosalie looks. He wonders if he's doing the right thing, finalizing this divorce. Yet the memory of betrayal still burns, fueling his resolution. The chapel feels like it's holding its breath, once a symbol of their union, now an echo chamber for sorrow. A week later, under a pale sky, Trevor parks his car outside the Brookfield County Courthouse. The building is a mix of old stone pillars and modern glass additions, an apt metaphor for the blend of tradition and bureaucracy. He steps out, clutching a slim folder of documents. His throat feels tight. Inside, fluorescent lights hum, and the echo of footsteps on polished floors resonates through the corridors. Trevor takes a seat on a stiff bench outside a small hearing room. Damien Harrington, his loyal friend, appears down the hallway, offering him a supportive nod. You didn't have to come, Trevor murmurs. Damien shrugs. I know, but I wanted to. Big day, not exactly in a good way, but still. He squeezes Trevor's shoulder. You all right? Trevor attempts a smile. It doesn't quite form. Yeah, just finishing what I started. Before he can say more, Rosalie turns the corner with her attorney, a gray-haired woman in a neat business suit. Rosalie's eyes meet Trevor's. She gives him a small, mournful smile. Her once vibrant spirit seems subdued. She wears a simple blouse and black slacks, hair tied back in a low ponytail. The attorneys exchange curt greetings, then usher both parties into a private conference room. Trevor's attorney, a lean man named Mr. Falk, opens a folder. We have the divorce decree prepared. All terms have been agreed upon, no contest regarding property, as neither party seeks alimony. Are we ready to finalize? Trevor glances at Rosalie. A flicker of doubt twists in his stomach. She seems equally tense. Her attorney speaks quietly. Miss Mortimer understands the terms and is prepared to sign. The moment feels surreal. Two people who once pledged forever, now each poised with a pen to dissolve that vow. Trevor wonders if he'll regret this. But then he recalls the nights of crippling distrust, the heartbreak in Hartford, the sense of betrayal. It's for the best, he tells himself. Rosalie's hand trembles as she signs first. The pen scratches across the paper in a final confirmation of separation. Trevor follows, his own signature a heavy verdict on their shared history. The attorney's witness, stamping and notarizing. Mr. Falk nods. That's it, folks. The dissolution of marriage will be official once the court clerk finalizes these documents. An oppressive silence descends. Rosalie wipes her eyes, pressing her lips together. Trevor stands, folding the final papers. Thank you, he says to the attorneys, though he hardly feels grateful. Damien, standing by the door, gives them both a sympathetic look. I'm sorry it came to this, he whispers. Then he escorts Trevor out, leaving Rosalie and her attorney to collect themselves. In the hallway, Trevor and Rosalie pause, facing each other, two people no longer husband and wife. The fluorescent light makes everything feel too bright, too clinical for such a personal tragedy. Rosalie inhales. "So that's it?" she asks, voice raw. Trevor nods, swallowing a lump in his throat. "Yeah," he answers softly. "I guess so." She grips the strap of her purse, tears threatening. "Trevor, I thank you for at least letting me speak my piece. I really do wish—" She trails off. "I hope you find peace." He nods, eyes distant. "You too, Rosalie." Without another word, she turns and walks away, her footsteps echoing against the marble floor. Trevor stands there watching her disappear around a corner. A part of him wants to call out, to stop her, but the bruises on his heart remind him that trust doesn't mend so easily. Damien lays a hand on Trevor's shoulder. "Come on," he says quietly. "Let's get you out of here." Trevor allows himself to be led away, mind spinning with finality. Through the courthouse windows, the sky remains pale and unchanged, indifferent to the heartbreak unfolding within. 4 months later, Trevor Ryman parks his Wrangler outside Riverton Elementary, a tidy campus in a suburban region near Arlington. Morning sunlight gleams off the polished sign that reads District Education Office Regional Support Branch. A sense of accomplishment flickers in his chest. He steps inside, greeted by lively chatter teachers exchanging lesson plans, an administrator juggling phone calls. Trevor's new position is Assistant Regional Specialist for the district, essentially a managerial role that helps oversee curriculum and teacher development. It's a step up from the classroom, a chance to shape education more broadly. Principal Hayes from his former school had championed him for this post. She said he had the heart of a teacher and the mindset of a leader. Standing in the corridor now, Trevor can't help feeling a surge of pride. Rosalie would have been thrilled, a voice in his mind whispers, but he pushes that aside, focusing on the present. He checks the schedule on his phone, a midday meeting with the district superintendent, then a tour of a nearby middle school. As he walks, a few staffers greet him warmly. He responds with a polite smile, trying to exude confidence despite the lingering sense of loneliness that's clung to him since the divorce. During lunch break, he escapes to a small outdoor courtyard behind the administrative wing. The air is rich with the scent of fresh-cut grass, and a gentle breeze stirs the leaves of a solitary oak tree. He unpacks a simple lunch, thinking about how different life is now. No worried calls from Rosalie about her late meetings, no weekend plans for couples getaways. In truth, he misses being married, misses the idea of sharing successes and consolations with a partner. But the bitter experience of betrayal still weighs on him, making him wary of letting anyone in. He's poured himself into this new role, seeking fulfillment in shaping educational programs and mentoring young teachers. A young teacher named Mallory Chen, bright-eyed and enthusiastic, joins him at the courtyard's picnic table. She's seen him around a few times, eager to glean advice. "Hey, Mr. Ryman," she says with a friendly grin. "You're the new assistant specialist, right? I'd love pointers on using interactive reading apps." Trevor smiles, pushing away his somber thoughts. "Sure, Miss Chen. Got a few ideas that might help." As they chat about lesson design, he feels a spark of renewed purpose. This is what he excels at: guiding, inspiring. Maybe the pain he's endured can be channeled into empathy for others, into building something positive. Late afternoon finds Trevor heading home to a quiet townhouse he's rented. He has a modest backyard where he keeps a small grill and a single folding chair. Most evenings, he'll cook something simple, then sit outdoors, staring at the sky as dusk settles. Sometimes he remembers the camping trips he used to take with Rosalie, how she pretended to love fishing just to be near him. The memory stings less than before, but it still stings. He's considered weekend getaways on his own, maybe to the nearby state parks, reigniting his love for nature. But each time he packs for a solo trip, an ache reminds him of the future they once planned, the kids they talked about bringing along someday, a future that now seems lost. Standing by the grill, he watches the embers glow, a gentle metaphor for his own resilience. He's forging a new path, career-focused, self-reliant. Maybe in time, his heart will open again. For now, he's content to shape his days around the students and teachers he helps, to be a steady figure in a turbulent educational landscape. He flips the steak on the grill and gazes up at a sky tinged with pink and orange. Rosalie is in the past now, he tells himself, and though the wounds haven't fully healed, there's a quiet determination in him to keep moving forward, one step at a time. Meanwhile, Rosalie wakes to the sound of crows cawing in a rural county a few hours from Maryland's bustling city centers. She rented a modest cottage near Culpeper County, following a tip from one of her father's acquaintances about openings in local schools. She's no politician now, she's a teacher, in training, trying to earn an additional teaching credential while improving her foreign language skills. Morning sunlight spills through tall windows that face rolling hills and a line of distant pine trees. The cottage's exterior paint has seen better days, and the yard is overgrown with wildflowers. But it's quiet, peaceful, a stark contrast to the noise of her old political life. Rosalie dresses in simple jeans and a flannel shirt, then slips on sturdy boots. Today she's visiting Maple Grove High, where she's been granted a part-time foreign language teaching practicum. Her nerves flutter at the thought she's never stood in front of a classroom to teach. But after everything collapsed, a small local school seems like a safe place to start anew. Driving her second-hand sedan down winding roads, she marvels at the open farmland, the rustic barns. She feels both out of place and oddly comforted. All those years chasing big city ambitions, she muses. I never considered a rural path. At Maple Grove High, she meets Mrs. Clarkson, an older Spanish teacher who exudes warmth. Clarkson leads her into a bright classroom where posters of Spanish-speaking countries line the walls. Rosalie helps set up worksheets for a short German lesson she's been studying German intensively, hoping to offer bilingual support. When the first group of students trickles in juniors and seniors, Rosalie catches a ripple of curiosity in their eyes. Some whisper, wondering who the new instructor's aide is. She introduces herself timidly, fighting a flush of anxiety. By mid-class, she's guiding them through basic German greetings, feeling an unexpected spark of excitement when they respond with tentative phrases. Guten Tag, a lanky boy tries, stumbling over the accent. Rosalie smiles encouragingly, remembering how she once translated legislative memos with ease. Teaching is different, but surprisingly fulfilling, seeing the moment a young mind grasps new knowledge. After the final bell, Mrs. Clarkson pats Rosalie's arm. You've got a knack for this, she says kindly. If you keep going, the district might hire you full-time. We need language teachers. Rosalie offers a grateful smile. Thank you. I never thought I'd be teaching, but it feels right. Outside, the sun burns high in a clear sky. Rosalie drives back to her cottage, mind churning with possibilities. She's still grappling with the aftermath of her political downfall, the ache of Trevor's absence, but each day here feels more grounded. She's exchanging power suits for cozy flannels, exchanging endless nights of networking for quiet evenings in a creaky cottage. And strangely, it soothes her. That afternoon, she calls her father to check on his health. Ambrose is stable, though still disappointed in her life choices. He grunts when she mentions teaching, but she senses a cautious respect. At least you're working, he concedes. Better than wallowing. She also calls her mother, Blanche, updating her on the local produce stands and the friendly townspeople. Blanche sounds relieved to hear Rosalie's positive tone. Keep it up, she says softly. I'm proud of you for not giving up. With dusk approaching, Rosalie decides to explore the overgrown field behind her cottage. She changes into old sneakers and steps onto the tall grass, brushing past wildflowers. Birds chirp from a nearby hedgerow. Something about the open sky and the gentle breeze reminds her of simpler days, maybe a sliver of the contentment she once dreamed of sharing with Trevor. A bittersweet smile curves her lips. Inside her cottage, she prepares a simple dinner of grilled vegetables and rice, then settles with her laptop to study more German grammar. She has a lengthy road to become fully certified, but she's determined. Each new pronoun or conjugation learned feels like a tiny victory, a step toward reclaiming her sense of self-worth. Night deepens, and Rosalie stands by the window, gazing at countless stars above the rolling hills. In the hush, she wonders if Trevor also sees these stars, if he's at peace or still hurting. Their story might be over, but the lessons remain. She closes her eyes, whispering a quiet promise to herself. Never again will she compromise her values for ambition. or let the quest for recognition overshadow genuine love? A soft dawn light filters through the windows of a tidy home in Arlington, Virginia, where Trevor Ryman, now in his mid-30s, sits at a small table. He sips coffee, gazing at the sunlight creeping across the hardwood floors. Flecks of silver dust his brown hair at the temples, an early sign of aging, perhaps accelerated by the turbulent years behind him. Over the past few years, Trevor has cemented his career in education. After earning his advanced degree, he stepped into a supervisory role within the district. His office walls are decorated with student artwork, and he occasionally still teaches a class or two, cherishing the chance to remain connected to the spark of childhood curiosity. Despite his success, Trevor lives alone. He's gone on a few dates, but nothing serious. He's cautious, maybe even wary. Some part of him remains tethered to the wounds from his broken marriage. Yet time has softened the sharp edges of those memories, leaving behind a quieter ache rather than raw pain. He checks the clock. 6:45 a.m. It's Saturday, the perfect day to indulge an old passion, camping. In the garage, his battered Jeep Wrangler waits, loaded with gear. Trevor has planned a short getaway to a mountainous region near West Virginia, where the forests are dense and the rivers run cold. He wants a few days of solitude, away from staff meetings and responsibilities. Before leaving, he glances at a small shoebox on a shelf. Inside are keepsakes of the past, random photos, old postcards, even a dried wildflower from an anniversary trip with Rosalie Mortimer. Trevor runs a thumb over the shoebox lid, feeling a twinge of nostalgia. He doesn't open it, he rarely does, but the reminder lingers. He wonders fleetingly where Rosalie is now, what she's doing. They haven't spoken since the divorce. For all he knows, she's halfway across the country living a different life. Shaking off the thought, he grabs his keys, locks up, and heads for the open road. The day unfurls in a brilliant clear sky, and the Jeep rumbles along winding highways. Trevor finds himself humming softly to an old country tune. The miles slip by under bright sunshine, the city skyline receding as rolling hills and farmland take over. Trees begin to loom taller, and rocky outcrops hint at the mountains beyond. Hours later, he crosses into a region of West Virginia dotted with state parks and winding trails. With the windows rolled down, crisp mountain air washes through the Jeep, carrying the scent of pine and wild earth. Trevor's heart lightens. He's back in the land he used to love exploring once upon a time. He dreamed of bringing future children here to fish and hike. He eventually spots a familiar sign for Cedar Brook Trails, a state-run camping area near a small, meandering river. It's late afternoon by the time he picks a secluded campsite beneath towering pines. The hush of the forest soothes him, a welcome break from the hum of modern life. Setting up his tent, Trevor notices a subtle twinge in his back, another sign of age, he jokes to himself. He's definitely not the carefree 20-something who once pitched tents in minutes. But with methodical care, he arranges everything, from the sleeping bag to a small folding table. By the time he's done, the sun is edging toward the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and rose. He lights a small campfire, the crackle and warmth reminding him of simpler times. Sitting on a collapsible chair, he gazes at the flickering flames and allows his mind to wander. He thinks about how far he's come, his professional growth, the sense of self he's gradually rebuilt. And every so often a memory of Rosalie surfaces. Her laughter, her red hair catching sunlight, her shy grin when she was trying to prove she could be outdoorsy. A breeze rustles the treetops, carrying the faint rush of water from the river. Trevor breathes in deeply. Maybe this place will help him figure out the next step. He's content, yet aware of a small emptiness he's never fully addressed. After all, the dreams he once had of a big family, a bustling home, never fully went away. They simply got buried under heartbreak and practicality. As twilight settles in, he pokes at the campfire embers. Fireflies blink in the shadows, and the distant call of an owl echoes through the forest. Trevor closes his eyes, listening to the natural symphony. He tells himself he's fine, that this solitary peace is enough. But a part of him wonders if destiny might have another twist in store, something he never anticipated. Early the next morning, Trevor steps out of his tent to the smell of dew on the grass and the gentle glow of sunrise peeking through the pines. The crisp air carries a hint of wood smoke from neighboring campsites. He stretches, rolling the stiffness from his shoulders, then starts prepping a quick breakfast of oatmeal and coffee over his small camping stove. He hears rustling from a nearby site, followed by soft exclamations of frustration. A feminine voice curses under her breath. "Come on, zip up, please." Curious, Trevor glances around a thick cluster of trees to see another campsite about 50 yards away. A petite figure with reddish hair tied in a haphazard ponytail is wrestling with a tent flap that seems stubbornly stuck. She's wearing a simple flannel shirt and cargo pants, but the hair color triggers a jolt in Trevor's chest. A wave of déjà vu, he recognizes that posture, that hair. Impossible, or is it? He steps closer, but not too close, to remain polite. "Need a hand?" he calls, voice echoing slightly in the still morning air. The woman spins around. For a heartbeat, Trevor's breath catches. Rosalie Mortimer. She looks older, her face more defined, faint lines at the corners of her eyes. But it's undeniably her. She blinks at him, eyes wide with shock. A wave of recognition washes over them both, stirring memories they thought had faded. "Trevor?" she whispers, dropping the tent flap. Her hands tremble slightly and her eyes glisten with disbelief. For a long moment, neither moves. The forest feels oddly silent, as though nature itself is holding its breath. Trevor finally manages to step forward. "Rosalie," he says, voice hushed. I didn't know, didn't expect." She nods, forcing a shaky smile. "Me neither. I'm here for a short camping trip during summer break. My job at a rural high school gave us a few days off. I had no idea you still camped around here." Trevor exhales slowly, glancing at her makeshift campsite. She's alone, apparently. No sign of anyone else. The tent is half unzipped. A small cooler sits to the side, and a coffee mug stands precariously on a stump. He can't believe fate has led them to the same place. He attempts a cordial tone. "I was just about to eat breakfast. Maybe you'd like some coffee? I have extra." Rosalie hesitates, eyes flicking with residual guilt, heartbreak, and curiosity. Then she nods. "Sure, yeah, that would be nice." She joins him at his campsite, the silence between them thick with unspoken feelings. Trevor ladles hot water into his portable coffee filter, steam rising in the gentle morning light. Rosalie sits on a spare camping stool, awkwardly folding her hands in her lap. He offers her a tin cup and their eyes meet again. "It's been years," he says softly. "Yeah," she agrees. "You look good, Trevor." He shrugs, heat creeping to his cheeks. "So do you." Though he notices the shadows under her eyes, the slight tension in her posture. She's no longer the glossy, ambitious political staffer he once knew. A breeze ruffles their hair, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. In the distance, a woodpecker drums on a tree. They sit in uncertain companionship, coffee warming their palms, not sure what to say after the passage of so many years and so much pain. Finally, Rosalie musters a faint laugh. "I guess we should talk, but I'm not quite sure how to begin." Trevor nods, swallowing hard. "We have a lot of history. Might take more than coffee to cover it." A flicker of a genuine smile touches her lips. "Well," she says, "I'm in no rush. Are you?" His own lips tilt into a tentative smile. "No rush," he echoes. Together they watch the rising sun gild the tops of the pines, each lost in the swirl of thoughts, memories of the life they once shared, regrets for how it ended, and an odd sense of relief at seeing each other alive and well. By the time twilight descends, Trevor and Rosalie have spent the day in a cautious dance of reconnection. They hiked a short trail by the river, swapped stories about their careers, his shift to educational leadership, her second chance as a language teacher in a rural community. The conversation was polite at first, laced with mild tension, but as the hours passed, the old familiarity nudged closer. Now, near a small campfire between their two tents, they sit under a canopy of stars. The warm glow of flames flickers across their faces, revealing flickers of vulnerability. A gentle hush spreads through the forest, broken only by crickets and the soft crackle of burning wood. Rosalie draws her knees close. Her hair, freed from the ponytail, falls around her shoulders. She glances sideways at Trevor. "It's surreal, isn't it? After all this time, we find each other here." He nods, poking at the coals. Yeah, surreal is the right word. His mind brims with memories, wedding photos, nights of laughter, nights of argument. He clears his throat. You ever think about back then? She exhales, the faintest of smiles appearing. All the time. At first it was regret, then anger at myself, at the system I got tangled in. Eventually I tried to let it go. But yes, I remember everything. Trevor sets the stick aside, turning to face her. The flickering light reveals lines of maturity on her face, no longer the wide-eyed young woman chasing political stardom. I guess we both had to rebuild ourselves, he says quietly. Rosalie nods. I lost track of who I was. I got caught up in proving something to the world, or maybe to my father. By the time I realized how toxic it all was, I'd broken your trust. Her eyes glisten with remorse. You were right to walk away. He feels a twinge in his chest. I didn't want to end it that way, but I couldn't see another option. I was drowning in doubts. A hush falls, the fire popping lightly. Rosalie draws in a breath. I'm sorry, she whispers, voice thick. I never told you that enough. I hurt you, and it cost me everything. But I've changed, Trevor. I swear, I'm not that person anymore. He studies her features in the dancing firelight. Sincerity radiates from her posture, from the trembling in her voice. Carefully, he reaches out, resting a hand on hers. She doesn't pull away. We can't rewrite the past, he murmurs, but maybe we can acknowledge it, learn from it. Tears shine in her eyes. Sometimes I lie awake, thinking how different it could have been if I'd been honest sooner, if I'd valued us more. She shakes her head. I'm so glad you're doing well, though. You deserve that. He squeezes her hand gently, swallowing a knot in his throat. I appreciate it. You seem good, too. The teaching gig suits you, right? A soft laugh escapes her. It does. I'm finally using my language skills for something positive, guiding kids who remind me a bit of myself, headstrong, eager, and sometimes lost. It's fulfilling. And you, working in district leadership, very impressive. Trevor shrugs self-consciously. I do what I can. Felt right to keep serving kids, just on a larger scale. They lapse into a quiet moment, listening to the forest's nocturnal chorus. After a while, Rosalie dares to speak again, a note of vulnerability in her tone. Trevor, have you found anyone else? I mean, it's been years. You must have had opportunities. He hesitates, stirring the embers with his free hand. I dated around, but nothing stuck. I guess I wasn't fully ready. There was always a part of me that couldn't commit. She nods slowly, understanding flickering in her gaze. Same here. I tried once or twice, but my heart wasn't in it. The admission hangs in the air, heavy with possibilities. Trevor gently withdraws his hand, uncertain. We can't just pretend we're who we used to be, he cautions. We've both changed. She looks down, nodding. I know, but at least we can be honest with each other now. They linger by the fire until the stars wheel high overhead, sharing stories of growth, regret, and newly earned wisdom. Time slides by unnoticed, forging a renewed bond, tentative, fragile, yet undeniably real. As the embers die down, they exchange a hesitant smile, unsure what tomorrow will bring, but hopeful that this unexpected meeting might be a start of something, if not reconciliation, then at least understanding. Morning breaks with a pale yellow sky, the sun peeking over thick forest canopies. A light mist clings to the river's edge, creating ghostly shapes that drift in the silent air. Trevor is up early, quietly dismantling his tent. Rosalie emerges from her own sight, eyes still drowsy but carrying a gentle warmth. They greet each other with small smiles, the memory of last night's conversation lingering like a shared secret. Neither is quite certain how to proceed should they part ways as polite acquaintances, or is there more to say? Rosalie approaches. I was thinking maybe I'll hang around another day or two, explore more of the trails. What about you? Trevor weighs her words. He had planned to leave, but the idea of spending another day with Rosalie in these peaceful woods tugs at him. He can't deny the spark of curiosity, the cautious hope that maybe, just maybe, they can forge a new connection on different terms than before. He glances at his watch, then at the swirling mist rising from the river. I could stay a bit longer, he says softly, heart fluttering at the admission. I don't have to be back at the office until Monday. A smile curves her lips. She nods in relief. That's great. If you'd like, I noticed there's a longer trail leading up to a scenic overlook. We could hike that, or just fish by the river. He returns her smile. Memories of old fishing trips surfacing. Sure, fishing might be nice. I even brought a spare rod, just in case. Rosalie's eyes brighten. Then let's do it. They walk side by side toward the river, the morning sun warming the grassy bank. Glistening dew sparkles underfoot. Trevor sets up the fishing rods, showing Rosalie a few tips. She jokingly reminds him she's still terrible at hooking the bait. He laughs, a genuine sound that washes away any lingering awkwardness. They cast lines into the gently flowing water, watching the ripples expand outward. For a while, the only sound is the burble of the river and the soft whoosh of the breeze. The moment feels surreal, an echo of the past, yet filled with the maturity of the present. A nibble on Rosalie's line sparks excitement. She reels in a small, wriggling trout, squealing in triumph and mild terror at the same time. Trevor helps her unhook it carefully, and they share a grin of childish glee. She decides to release the fish back, watching it dart away into the water. By noon, they're resting on the riverbank, sharing a simple lunch of sandwiches and fruit. Trevor notices how relaxed Rosalie appears, no tense shoulders, no phone buzzing with demands. She notices how his eyes crinkle when he smiles, how he seems lighter than the last time she saw him. Eventually, they head back to camp, where they find other campers packing up. Rosalie looks at Trevor, hesitating. My campsite is paid through tomorrow. Think we could share a fire tonight? Talk more? He nods, a soft warmth in his chest. I'd like that. Actually, I was thinking I have a bigger tent in my Jeep, one of those multi-room ones. If you'd be more comfortable, we could pitch it together, maybe near your site. It's not an invitation for... He stops, flushing. I just mean, in case the weather turns, or, for convenience. She laughs lightly, understanding his awkwardness. Sure, that'd be nice. Let's do it. They set up the larger tent in a shady clearing near her original spot. The activity is peppered with laughter and banter and unspoken recognition of how far they've come from the days of closed doors and heartbreak. As dusk settles, they light another campfire. Sitting beside each other, the flames dancing in their eyes, they discuss the future in vague terms, her continuing to teach, him possibly eyeing a bigger leadership role in the district. They avoid making grand declarations or diving into past mistakes. Instead, they share quiet, hopeful looks, aware that life is complicated but open to the possibility of forging a new path. At one point, Trevor gently brushes a stray hair from Rosalie's face. She meets his gaze, tears shining at the edges. I don't know what comes next, she whispers, but I'm grateful we found each other again. He nods, voice husky. Me too. They spend the evening absorbed in conversation, reminiscing about old times and weaving in stories of who they've become. Eventually, the fire burns low. Overhead, the moon glows, reflecting off the slow-flowing river. In that moment, everything feels strangely right, like a circle closing or a door opening. Epilogue of the moment. They haven't decided if they'll truly reunite as lovers or remain kindred spirits forging a cautious friendship. Yet the night carries a quiet promise. Perhaps the seeds of forgiveness have taken root, allowing them to step forward without the weight of guilt or bitterness. In the soft hush of the forest, they sit side by side, shoulders brushing, listening to the river's gentle lullaby. The next morning's sunrise will bring new questions, new choices. But for now, they have this shared warmth, this flicker of possibility, a final glimmer reminiscent of the could-have-been they once lost. And in that shimmer of dawn's first light, their story, once fractured, opens toward an unwritten tomorrow.